With just a few weeks left for CAT 2022, now is the time to go ahead and solidify your personal exam taking strategy. With that in mind, BYJU'S Exam Prep brings to you the All India Open Mock CAT. Know exactly where you stand against thousands of CATers and get video solutions and a live mock attempt. What more? There are also thousands of scholarships up for grabs.
Hi guys, a very good afternoon to all of you. Today we're going to talk about CAT 2023. How do you prepare for this exam, which is almost, in fact, more than a year away? Why should we prepare so early? Does it require so much of a preparation? And if yes, what is the correct way or correct approach? What should be the subjects to be prepared? Or I mean, do I really have so much of syllabus, or can I prepare something limited and get my calls from some of the best colleges out there? So we're going to talk about all of these in the next 40 minutes and see if I can probably answer all your questions too. So let's start understanding by the first idea of CAT and when does this exam happen. So let's start by understanding the CAT modalities. Okay, so let's look at the timeline. So the CAT exam notification for the next year is typically expected in the month of July. So you expect the notification, that is, they will come out with the newspaper advertisements and put it up on their website also, saying that the CAT exam will be conducted on so and so date. So that will be happening on July. The registration, which means you have to apply to this exam, you have to pay the fees for this. So the registrations typically will open up from August first week onwards and will continue till the mid of September. So August start till September mid or September end. This would be your timeline for applying for this exam. Please remember, you have to apply for this exam. Now this is something which many students ask. Does this exam cover all the colleges which are accepting the score? Guys, this is a very important point for you to understand. When you apply for CAT exam, as a part of the application process, you have to pay the fees once. So the fees will be something around 1800, 2000, whatever the fees is, and it could be lower than that also depending upon your category. But once you are ready to pay that fees, you will be getting option to apply to all the IIMs through this one single form. But only the IIMs, which means if you want to apply to other colleges which are using the CAT score, you will have to separately apply to those colleges from their college websites, respective college websites. This single CAT form will not be enough to get you admitted into, let's say, an MDI Gurgaon which uses the CAT score, or an SP Jain which uses a CAT score, or an FMS which uses the CAT score. So this application form has the wherewithal, or let me put it this way, this application form has the place to apply or lets you apply only to the IIMs. Apart from IIMs, if you want to use this score and go ahead and apply to those colleges, you will have to go separately to their websites and you have to pay separately there. So yes, it will be a costly affair. Really, if you're going to apply to, let's say, 4 or 5 exams, and if you're looking at applying to around 10-12 colleges, the cost for writing these 4 exams or 5 exams, including the college cost, will easily go about 15,000 or so. Okay, but let's move on. We are expecting that the next year, the college which will be conducting the CAT exam could be, again, this is based on what we observed over the past, could be IIM Lucknow. Okay, now how is this important to us? We will have separate sessions where we will discuss how the Lucknow's paper will differ from your other exam papers. For example, this year the paper is set by IIM Bangalore. So how has Bangalore done this over the past 2-3 times that it got its chance? How was the quant paper? How was the LRDI paper? How was the verbal paper? If you analyze, you'll get a trend out of it. Similarly, if you do the same thing for Lucknow, we'll have a separate session for it to understand how Lucknow sets the paper. But the information right now is the expectation that the Lucknow IIM will be setting the paper for the next year. It could change, but this is our expectation. Okay, and of course this is always going to be an online exam only. The paper and pen based exams are gone. As far as CAT is concerned, it's purely online. So one of the important things you need to realize as far as online exam goes is those of you who are used to the paper based exam, did not give online exams at all. Please remember that the first time you give an online exam, there will be about 6 to 7 minutes of time wasted for you. And I'm not saying that you will waste time in solving questions. You will waste time getting adjusted to the online format. So you see the paper down and you solve, which is very convenient for us. You write down on the paper. So a question comes to you with a table, you can use a table directly. You don't have to recreate the table because the question paper has a table already. But when you're talking about online, you have a computer screen. You can't write anything on the computer screen. So whatever information is there, if there is a half given table, if there is a bar chart, whatever it is, that has to be kind of reproduced depending upon what is the need. You will have to reproduce those into your paper again. So there will be an amount of time that you're going to spend extra compared to what happens in the offline mode. So this is one of the things that you need to keep in mind when you're preparing for CAT exam, which means you have to have sufficient practice as far as mock exams go. Let's move on. Let's take a look at what happened last year and what is the CAT 2021 pattern. Now last year, that is CAT 2021, this is, I call it as post-pandemic era. Post-pandemic era, so PPE. And there's another PPE which is pre-pandemic era. The reason why I'm calling or separating this out is because up to 2019, 2018 and before, all of these years, the paper pattern was 3 hours. You used to have the paper pattern for 3 hours. Now you have 2021 and 2022, this paper is only for 2 hours. The paper is only for 2 hours. So when you have only a 2-hour paper, the number of questions are reduced, the time per section is reduced. So last year, we had 24 questions in English, 20 questions in DILR, and 22 questions in maths. Overall, we had 66 questions. Whereas out of these questions, 19 of them were MCQ. MCQ was multiple choice questions, your typical 4-option questions. But there were 5 questions which were also called, which were called as TITA, or these are also called as non-MCQ. Now this is important for you to understand what is this non-MCQ pattern questions, because CAT is the only Indian MBA entrance exam which asks you to write these non-MCQ. So you will have the questions where there are no options. You will just have a small box here and you're supposed to type the value of the answer in the box. Please remember, it's not typing your entire answer and there's method for it. They just ask final answer, that final answer you're supposed to put. So if they're asking you what is, let's say the final speed, whatever you got, let's say you got 30, you'll write the answer as 30 and then move on. There are no options here. So that is called as TITA, type in the answer, or non-MCQ. So you can see that 19 questions are MCQ, 5 questions were of Theta, 15 in DILR and 5 were Theta, and 14 in Quant and 8 in Theta. So you can see that the number of questions in Theta of Quant are quite high. Okay, so by giving Theta questions, automatically the question difficulty level will increase a little bit, simply because you don't have options to verify whether what you got is correct or wrong. Normally what happens, let's say I solved a question, I got the answer as 100 and 100 option is visible. Usually I expect it to be correct. Yes, there could be a trap also, but normally it is, they're saying that, okay, I have 100, so I've done it correctly. But if there is no option, if I did a calculation error and instead of 100, I got 105, now if had it been an MCQ, I will see, okay, 105 option is not there, which means something is wrong in my calculations. I'll go back and verify again. But if it is a Theta, you got 105, there is nothing telling you whether you got right, wrong, nothing, no information. You're just supposed to enter 105 and finish the question. So because of which, usually students don't double check their answers, so the mistakes that they do will continue. Whereas an MCQ will be throwing you a warning, especially if you got an answer and that answer option is not there because of a silly error, you know for sure that you can go back and verify and rectify it, you will get the answer correctly. But Theta, that is a problem. Now the other thing which is important for you to understand is these Theta questions, if you get it right, you will get 3 marks. If you get it wrong, it is 0 marks. Whereas the MCQs, if you get it right, it is 3 marks. If you get it wrong in MCQs, you will get a -1 mark. So theta does not have negative mark, which means you can technically attempt all theta questions without a problem. Whereas MCQs have a negative mark, which means you should not randomly guess. Okay, so that's the logic. Now the last part here is, what is the sectional time limit? Now when I said the paper pattern was for 2 hours, the whole idea of this 2 hours is it is 120 minutes. So it is equally distributed among the 3 sections. So this 120 minutes was 40, 40 and 40. So 40 minutes per section. So that is what happened last year, and we expect the same thing to be happening this year also, because while the pattern is not yet released, right now we know that it's a 2-hour exam. They confirmed, in fact, again, they did not confirm directly that it's a 2-hour exam, but it's a very simple deduction. There are going to be 3 slots in 2022, 3 slots where the exam will be conducted. So each slot, if it is for 3 hours, then you're talking about 3 into 3, 9 hours in the exam itself. Now remember, you have the exam timing from, let's say, 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock. 8 to 6 is 10 hours. That's it. Okay, 8 to 6 is 10 hours. Out of which 10 hours, 9 hours you are spending in the exam conduction. What about exchange of slot 1 to slot 2? Students should go out, students should come in, sanitization should happen. All that should be happening within the remaining 1 hour. You can't do that. So it is logical to assume that it's going to be 3 slots into 2, which is 6 hours. So there will be ample time. So if I say total exam is only 6 hours, the remaining 4 hours can be used for all of these things. You know, sanitization of the computers, letting students go out, let the other students come in, the checking, biometric checking there, and all of that will happen. Okay, so we expect the same this year also, 2-hour exam pattern with 40 minutes per section. Now for 2023, you might question what will happen, because that's what you guys are all here for. 2023, frankly, at this point in time is a big question mark for me, because you need to understand why we are in this pattern right now. The CAT did not randomly change the pattern. The reason for the pattern change was the pandemic, because 2019, 18, 17, 16, 15, all of those were single pattern, which is 3 hours pattern. In 2020, they were forced to change it. They did not do it voluntarily. Because of the pandemic, they did not want students to be sitting adjacent to each other for 3 hours, so they cut it down to 2 hours. And because 2021, still the pandemic was there, they continued with it. Right now, we cannot say that we are 100% out of the woods as far as the pandemic is concerned. So I'm assuming that they will go ahead with the same pattern. Now, what happens next year is 13, 14 months in advance. I am not a soothsayer, I'm not a fortune teller to say what's going to happen. But yes, one thing I can guarantee is, if there is still an inclination of pandemic possibility, if it is still not completely out, I would say the pattern will continue as 2 hours. But if India announces that we are completely out of COVID, we are completely COVID free, then we can expect the 3-hour pattern back. So let's wait and see what happens. Moving on. Now, this is what I said. As I said, expected paper pattern could be changed, but again, let's not worry too much about it. Let's take a look at the dates and then move on to the topics. What should you prepare? As I said, CAT notification will be out in the last month of July, and you're talking about the first week of August. The CAT registration start. Okay, so the CAT registrations will be starting in the first week of August, and once that happens, the closure of this will be somewhere in the last date. So this year, I think it was 21st or 22nd. I think 22nd September was the last date of registration for this year. Somewhere around the same date, Friday, Saturday, whatever the date is, it will be the last date for the next year also. And now this is important. They will release a sample mock in the first week of October. This sample mock will kind of give us an idea of how the paper pattern will be. Again, there is no obligation on their part to stick to it, but at least we'll get some sense of what they might throw at us, and we might want to change our preparation a little bit, at least looking at what they're giving. Okay, so again, as I said, this is not a guarantee that the paper will be like this. It's just an indication from their side. And of course, the admit card will be out on the last month or last 1 or 2 days of October. So this is what happens. typically as far as your timelines are concerned. Now the exam timeline is always standard. This has not changed in the last decade and a half. The exam date, you can ask me 3 years later also, I'll tell you today. And the reason for that is very simple. The exam is conducted always on the Sunday which is last in the month of November. So if you look at last 15 years, you will notice that the CAT exam has always been conducted on the last Sunday of November, unless there is some earth-shattering thing which is stopping them from conducting it. But normal years, every time it has been the last Sunday of November. Even during the pandemic, I believe it was conducted at the same timeline, last Sunday of November. So let's move on and take a look at what should be the scores you need in this exam to get a very good percentile. Now, I'm sure many of you are planning for the top IIMs to get into the top level private colleges also, like as I said, FMS. FMS is not private actually, but yeah, it's a non-IIM college. So FMS, MDI, SPJN and so on and so forth. So let's take a look at what percentile overall do you need to achieve to get, or rather what score you need to achieve to get a different kind of a percentile. So let's take a look at what's happening here. So if you're looking at 80 percentile, to get this overall you need just 45 marks, that is out of 66 questions. Now remember, 45 marks means you divide 45 by 3. 45 by 3 is 15 questions. If you attempt 15 of them correctly, you will be getting 45 marks out of 66 questions to get 80 percentile. Now 80 percentile is not a great number. Depending upon whether in which category you belong, this might be sufficient, might not be sufficient. So we'll talk about category wise cutoffs in a different session. That's not the purpose today. But yes, 80 percentile, typically if you are from SC/ST background, this would be good enough. If you are from OBC or general, this will not be good enough, or even EWC candidates, this will not be good enough. But if you are a physically handicapped quota candidate or an SC or ST, 80 percentile overall will give you some really good colleges, at least IIMs for sure. If you move on a little bit, 90 percentile, you can see this is almost 60 marks. Let's take 60 as a round figure for calculations to be easy. So you're talking about 20 questions correct. I'm not even looking at half. I'm just looking at 20 correct out of 66, and you will end up getting a 90 percentile. So if you are a OBC student at 90 percentile, you will get some of the really good IIMs. And of course, if you are an SC/ST student, you will be getting almost all IIMs at 90 percentile. If you are a general category student at 90 percentile, you will be getting some probably new IIMs, not the old IIMs, or not the, you'll be getting baby IIMs, not even probably the new IIMs, but yes, the requirement will be a little bit higher. If you look at a 99 percentile, so you are now one among the toppers, the top 1% of the country who have written this exam. You are talking about a score of 97. A score of 97 basically means you are looking at, let's again round it off to 96 for easy calculations. You are talking about 32 questions correct. This is where you are coming close to half. So if you can get half of the total paper correct, 50% of the total paper correct, you are 1% topper. You are in the top 1% of the country. That's what you need to achieve. It's not very difficult at all. Remember, you guys are used to solving questions and answering 100% of your college papers. But here, we are not looking at 100%. We are looking at only half of it to be the top 1%. If you get a 99 percentile as a general category student, I can assure you that some of the top IIMs will call you. May not be ABC, but definitely a Lucknow, an Indore, or probably a Kozhikode might call you, a Shillong might call you, depending upon your profile. Okay. Now, if you are aiming for that Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta group, then your requirement will be a 99.6 or 99.7. There you are looking at getting more than 107. Above that, even 107 would not be enough. So let's say you're looking at 110 or 109. So this is the range you're looking at. So that basically, let's say 110 or 111 for that matter. So I'm just taking a number which is easy for me to divide by 3. So you're talking about 3 3s are 9, 10, 11, so 3 7s are. So now you're looking at crossing halfway point. So if you get 37 questions correct out of 66 without any errors, you'll be getting your ABC calls. So this is the idea that you need to prepare or need to keep in mind depending upon what your target is. Okay, let's move on and understand what happened in each of these sections last 5 years. So we at BYJU'S have analyzed the last 5 years question papers of CAT, and we have some really interesting analysis which we would like to put it in front of you right now. So if you look at this, the first thing we noticed is English. Most of the passages in English section of RC have come from these areas. So you can see almost 45%, 21 out of 54, around 40% actually, not 45, 40%. 40% of the passages have come from these sources. What are these sources? Aeon, New York Times, The Guardian, Smithsonian. So there are some magazines, some newspapers, news articles, editorials. But if you can become comfortable reading the passages in these areas, in these sources, I mean, then that would be a great, push to your English preparation. Now, the sources are fine, but which area should you prepare? Should you read politics? Should you read sport? Should you read business? Everything you can read. What is it that you should prepare for? The topics that you need to focus on are over here. There are 4 genres or genres, I don't know how you pronounce it. These are sociology and anthropology is 1, science and technology is 2nd, zoology and biology. Interestingly, physics and chemistry is not asked much, not much of math based topics are asked. Remember, I can have an article on mathematicians, but usually that's not what they're looking at. They're somehow fascinated about zoology and biology, and of course history. So the combination of these sources and these topics should be the focal point of your preparation. So if you want to improve your reading, yes, first of all, I'll give you an idea. So if you want to crack this English paper of CAT, you have to become good in reading and understanding. Now, many of you don't have the habit of reading. I'm not saying in such case start from here. If you start from here, 2 days you'll leave everything. First 3 months, this is the month of September, it's over. October, November, December, 3 months, my target for you is start reading every day. It could be a magazine that you like, it could be a novel that you like, it could be a book, article, anything that you like. I don't put a restriction. Don't start off from here directly if you are not somebody who's used to preparing on rather reading on a daily or a regular basis. So start with something that helps you, something that is interesting to you. You can read about a movie review, you can start with a Harry Potter book, you can start with any kind of a book, I don't mind. But read every day. That is what you're supposed to do for October, November, December, OND. But once you get into the groove of reading, once you're able to do this on a regular basis, once you start enjoying the thing called reading, then shift gears. Don't sit with those easy things to read, interesting things to read. You will then have to shift to these. Change your sources every day from what you're reading to these things, and look at these particular areas. Read topics on these areas. This, my friends, if you can continue doing for the remaining part of the year, that is January to let's say October and November, I can guarantee that your RC is going to become excellent, because the language used in these sources, the English, the diction that is being used, the phrases that have been used, those are the ones which are really going to improve your English over a period of time. Now you have sufficient time, 1 year and more than that. In fact, we have almost about 12-13 months. It's a very, very high amount of time. You can take this road and become good in English. Let's move on. Now, when you're looking at the other part of English, one part of English is reading comprehension. The other part of reading is English is para jumbles, para summary, and odd sentence. So we try to do this analysis for these 3 areas also, but we realize that these questions, unlike RC, I can't point out that read these topics from these areas or these sources, because we noticed that the para jumbles or the para summary or the odd para sentence or odd sentence jumble, the CAT exam has given these from all over the place. So I would not say read only these because the sources are a lot and the topics are also, the themes are also quite a bit. But one thing I can guarantee, if you are following your RC diligently every day, then your para jumbles, para summary and odd sentence out will automatically improve even without practicing. Because your para jumble, for you to become good at para jumble, you should understand how the flow should be. The flow will be understood the more you read. Similarly, para summary, similarly your odd para sentence or odd para jumble. So the whole idea is, if you are becoming better and better in RC, these things would also improve. And to get the practice, you can take your topic test, you can write your sectional test and all that, that's later. But this will also be pulled up by your usage of RC practice there. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at what is the score required in this particular section. So if you're looking at this, an 80 percentile will be 21 marks, that is 7 questions. If you're looking at a 90 percentile, you're looking at 30 marks, that's 10 questions. And a 99 is 15 questions. Now 15 questions correct without any mistakes will give you a 99 percentile. Realistically, that is not possible because English students, good students, will have 80% accuracy. Will have about 80% accuracy. So if you're talking about attempting 20 to 22 questions, let's say you're attempting 20 to 22 questions, you will get around 17 to 18 correct and the remaining will be mistakes. Therefore, you will end up with a 45. So while I'm saying 45 marks, please remember you are not 100% accurate English. Very few people that I know in my entire career are, I mean, I can't say even 100%. They might be 99 point something percent correct. They'll still make one mistake out of 100 questions. If they attempt 100 questions, they'll probably make 1-2 mistakes. But very few people in the entire country that I know of at that level. Because it's very tricky English. Normal good students will be at a rate of 75 to 80%. If your accuracy is between 75 to 80%, it's really good. You should be really happy about it. Anything more than that, you are a genius. But anyway, so you're looking at attempting 20 to 22 questions, probably 20-21 questions, getting 17 to 18 correct, ending with a 45-47 marks, and you will be a top 1% student as far as English is concerned. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at what happened in DILR. Now DILR is a section which is very scary to many students. The reason is they have heard about this DILR section in stories from their seniors. They say that this is one of the most difficult areas. They say that this really tests you, it really challenges you, it makes you cry, it makes you lose confidence. Well, to a certain extent, all of that is correct. However, we noticed over the last 5 years, based on our analysis, that there is a way to crack these. Now, one of the things which people forget to understand is DILR, they think that the questions can come from anywhere. In reality, it isn't like that. So we did an analysis and we realized that there are 6 topics which are the most important. If you can thoroughly prepare these 6 topics, I can guarantee you that you will be able to get a 99 percentile. You can get a 99 percentile provided you prepare these 6 topics correctly. What are these 6 topics? The topics are reasoning based DI. What is this reasoning based DI? So reasoning based DI are sets of DILR where you will not be required to do great calculations, but there will be some numbers and you have to apply a lot of logic and use those numbers to get your answer. It is not mindless calculation which will come under your DI charts and those kind of questions. We'll come to that later. But these are heavily logic oriented, but logic using numbers. Logic using numbers. It is not your percentage calculations randomly. So such kind of sets are called as reasoning based DI. Then you have scheduling and matrix, the typical questions where 5 lectures are happening in 5 classrooms and 5 people are taking these lectures, and you'll say A is taking it before B at 9 p.m. Somebody is taking at after B at 6 p.m. or whatever, something like that. So you are supposed to arrange who is where, what, which classroom, and those kind of things come under your scheduling and matrix. Then you have your typical matrix arrangement, seating arrangement kind of questions. Then you have Venn diagrams. Then you have matrix and grid, and you have unconventional and conventional games and tournaments. Typical games and tournaments where you are talking about your round robin league or a knockout tournament. Typically what happens in tennis is a knockout tournament. 128 or 256 or something like that people participate, and the winner goes forward to the next round, the loser is knocked out. Or a round robin league, which is typically what happens in your IPL, or if you're following games, online gaming, it happens in most of the games like Dota and all. So round robin league, this is what happens. And questions based on those formats. They are called as conventional games and tournaments. There are also unconventional and hybrid games and tournaments, which are these are the ones which are actually a bit nasty, because I can create a new game where the rules are all completely different and ask you a question based on that. So if it is conventional, you know the game beforehand, you know the process beforehand, so it is easy for you to understand. But if I give you a new game with a new set of rules and a new way to progress, then the problem comes, because you need to first understand that newness, then apply it in the question. So these unconventional ones are a little bit of a challenge, but then they have been asking such questions quite a bit. So if you are a person who's preparing for DILR, I would say prepare for these 6 areas. Well, there are others you can prepare if you have perfected them, but my focus for you would be on these 6 without fail. If you become perfect in these 6, that will be great. And then if time permits, you can go ahead and prepare the others also. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at how many easy, difficult, moderate sets have come. Again, we are looking at the last 5 years papers of DILR, and you will notice that easy are only 2. So which means straightforward sitters usually don't come in CAT as far as DILR is concerned. However, lot of these sets are easy to moderate, so a little bit higher than easy. There are decently 19 number of questions. Remember, total there are 75. So out of 75, almost 21 questions, if I group them together, 21 questions, you can see that's almost about 30%, right? 7 3s are 21. Yes, 30 or 28, 29%. More than a quarter of questions can be done by everyone, because these are either easy level or easy to moderate level. Then comes the bulk, which is your moderate. Now, moderate level questions normally can be solved provided you prepared. See guys, these questions are the level where normally anybody who did not prepare can also go and solve. These are like easy. These are the questions which will set a prepared student apart from a just like that guy. So a normal person who goes and write might get 2 or 3 corrects, because remember, these are out of 75. So you're talking about 28 to 30% questions in this manner. So if I'm looking at 20 questions total in a paper, if I look at the same percentage average, then these 2 areas together will be 2 to 3 questions only. So these 2 to 3 questions the students will get. Anybody who goes without preparation will also get. But you can see 23 questions. Now you're talking about almost another, another 28, 30 or even higher than 30% of the questions. So you're talking about 3 to 4 questions. These cannot be solved by your normal student who's just going and writing the exam without preparation. This will set the prepared students apart from just like that students. So a student who's prepared well will answer these and will be able to answer these too. So these average or some prepared students, I'm not saying they are brilliant, I'm saying people who are average students but they have prepared will be able to get these 7 questions correct. Then you have above moderate. Now this is what differentiates an average student to a good student. So these questions will typically be done by those who have prepared and actually are good at DILR. So out of these, how much is this? 31. So 31 is about 40%. Okay, more than that, more than 40%. So you're talking about 31 out of 75. So that's about 40% of the questions. These are available for the students who are not just average, probably not even above average, but they are good. So they would be, again, they will not be able to attempt all of them. They will be able to attempt another 4 or 6 questions. Another 4 or 6 questions compared to an average student. So this 7 for them will now start becoming 13 to 14 attempts. The 7 attempts for an average student or just above average student will start becoming 13, 14 attempts for a good student. Of course, If you're an excellent student, you'll go up to 18 or even all 20 attempts also. Very rare students attempt all 20 and get 17, 18 correct. But normally a very good student or a good student will be in the range of 13, 14, 15 questions attempts in your DILR. So the whole idea which I'm trying to explain is, you cannot say that DILR can be cracked without preparation, and you cannot say that DILR paper is going to be easy. But yes, if you plan till here, it is not very difficult. It is not as difficult as students really worry about. It can be done. It is crackable. It is solvable. People have been doing it every year. They don't target 16 questions, 17 questions. They target around 10 to 12 questions. This is a very, very decent target. So you have to get all of these type of questions correct. So easy to moderate and moderate. You should get all of them correct. And probably one set from moderate to difficult, one set there. So 7 plus 3, that will give you your 10. So 10 or probably 11 depending upon how much you are able to crack. But 10 to 12 is a very, very good hit rate and good number of attempts. And probably you will be getting around 9 to 10 correct, which is very, very good. Now let us take a look at the percentiles. If I need to get 80 percentile, just bare minimum to clear my sectional cutoff, I need not more than 5 questions correct. So 80 percentile, as I keep saying this is for students who are just going and writing the exam without too much of a preparation. If you have your common sense without preparation, you can get 80 percentile. Sectional cutoff will be done. But to do more than that, you want to get a 90 percentile, you need to get 6 questions or 7 questions correct. As I said, this is where the average students who have prepared will be, getting that extra 10 percentile more than the just attempters. And of course, you want to be the topper, you need to get 11 questions correct, which is what we just discussed. You target 10 to 12 questions, you get around 9 to 10 questions correct. If the paper is difficult, 9 to 10. If the paper is easy, that 9 to 10 will become 10 to 11. So that's basically where we are. And the absolute toppers will go ahead and attempt around 39 questions. So 13, 14 corrects, 13, 14 corrects, which means 15, 16 attempts for them. So that's how your DILR section is. Let's move ahead and take a look at the quant section now. Now once again, in quant, the syllabus is quite vast. You have arithmetic, algebra, geometry, number systems, modern math. However, if you look at the number of questions that have been coming, you will notice that in CAT 2020, only arithmetic and algebra together, remember total is 22. Out of the 22 questions, only these two topics gave you 13 to 18 questions. That's a huge number. More than half, more than 50% of the paper comes only from these two. So it's a no-brainer that if you want to prepare seriously for your CAT exam 2023, your first two topics have to be arithmetic and algebra. Because if you prepare these, in fact, for all those of you who are fearful of maths, who are afraid of maths, I will give you this, guys. You prepare arithmetic and algebra, it is enough. You can get a 95 plus percentile. I will show you the scores for percentiles. You will notice that if you can attempt between 13 to 18 with a 90% accuracy, you can get a 95 percentile in quant. If you are somebody who is afraid of maths, that's a great score for you. Okay, but those of you who are good in maths, obviously that is not sufficient for you because you want to maximize your score in maths if you're good at it. So then you will be required to go to geometry, number systems and modern math. But even then, the first two are always arithmetic and algebra. Of course, the weightage for arithmetic is a bit higher than algebra, but yes, these are the top two topics for you. Okay, now what constitutes arithmetic? Arithmetic is time and distance, time and work are the two most important parts within arithmetic. Then you have profit and loss, averages, mixtures and allegations, ratios, SSCI and percentages. So you have all of these, but again the most important topics are time and distance, time and work. However, the problem, and this is the trap, students think that I can leave out percentages and do time and distance, time and work. People don't realize that percentages and ratios are connected, and ratios, time and work, time and distance are connected. You can't become good in time and distance, time and work without understanding ratios. You can't become good at ratios when you are poor in percentages. They are all interlinked. So I would say that there is no chapter in arithmetic that can be left because they are all linked. Similarly, averages. You can't become good at averages if you don't understand the way in which percentages and ratios work. So all of them are linked. So arithmetic as such is very, very important. You cannot leave anything. However, in algebra, it's a bit different. If you combine your equations, linear equations and quadratic equations into one topic, then this is progressions, logarithms and functions. This is enough. Look at it. This constitutes the bulk of your algebra. This constitutes the bulk of algebra. But again, there are a lot of other areas which I'm asking you to leave if you are weak in maths. So if you are a student who's weak in maths, your target is only these. What are these? Linear equations, that is simple equations, quadratic equations, progressions, that is AP, GP, then you have logarithms, and then you have functions. That's all. If you can prepare this much in algebra, your algebra is done. Don't worry about the remaining parts if you are weak in maths. But yes, if you love maths, then you will have to prepare all of these, because again, if you want to be good in maths, if you are a good student in maths, your target is not 10, 12 questions attempts. You are looking at 20 questions or 19 questions or 18 questions to be attempted. That cannot be done using only the arithmetic and algebra, especially when you're leaving out some part of algebra also. Okay, let's go ahead and look at it. Take a look at geometry. Once again, the most important areas in geometry are area and volume. So area based questions, volume based questions, surface area, total surface area, curved surface area, those kind of questions, 3-dimensional. Then you have triangles, questions based on properties of triangles and question based on properties of circles. If you are weak in geometry, this is enough. You can leave out coordinate geometry, you can leave out polygons, you can leave out quadrilaterals, you can leave out lines and angles, all that you can leave. But again, lines and angles, frankly, you cannot leave, because these are connected to triangles anyway and circles anyway. So I would say that is by default. But yes, these three are sufficient for you if you are afraid of geometry. Don't look at everything else, cyclic quadrilaterals, this, that and all, not required. You need triangles, circles and 3-dimensional geometry in which you talk about volumes, cylinder volume, cone volume, surface area, things like that. That's enough for you. But if you are good in maths, once again, as I keep saying, please don't leave, don't be, you want to maximize your score in maths, so try to learn as much of these topics as possible. Now look at the percentile. If you want to just barely cross the cutoff, then you're looking at 12 marks. So basically it is 12 by 3, that's 4 questions correct. If you want to look at a 90 percentile, you're looking at 6 questions. A 95 percentile, 8 questions correct. 99 percentile, you're looking at 12 questions correct. So if you are perfect in arithmetic and algebra, you can get, I said 95, in fact the data shows not just 95, 99 percentile you can get. You can become a topper just by looking at 2 areas, arithmetic and algebra. But the only thing is you have to be perfect in them, because minimum you'll get 13 questions. And maximum you can expect 17 or around 17 questions. Out of this 13 to 17 questions, can you get 11 or 12 correct? You will become the topper. Over. So don't be afraid of maths, because the syllabus for maths is not that great. But yes, if you want to score very high in maths, you are a stud in maths, or you want to say that, okay, I'm weak in English but my maths is really good because I want to maximize my score in maths, then of course you want to go above 40. Because you are maximizing this section. Okay, so this is a study plan, basically what I want to discuss. We are talking about October, November, December. October, November, December, I already told you what to do in English. As far as DILR is concerned, please look at, so October, November, December in DILR, look at charts. Different types of charts. Understand the charts, understand what is a line graph, understand what is a pie chart, understand what is a bar graph, table based questions, calculation based questions, get your calculations up and running. Okay, as far as quant is concerned, you can start with arithmetic, keep doing the basics of arithmetic, don't open too many areas in quant, start with arithmetic first. Again, the reason I am saying charts is arithmetic and charts are kind of related, because chart kind questions, based questions will ask you percentage calculations, ratios, which is what comes in arithmetic also. So you'll be doing them both simultaneously. Once you start hitting the month of March, again start looking at the clarity of fundamentals, because now your basic calculations are in place. You will start looking at the fundamentals of time and distance, because percentages now you know, averages you know, what is the meaning of an average you know, what is the average of meaning of a ratio you know. Start applying these in your time and distance and time and work. Start talking about the most important parts of arithmetic. You can also start looking at algebra during this time, Jan, Feb, March, because most of arithmetic would already be completed in your October, November, December. So from Jan, whatever left off of arithmetic, and you can look at starting your algebra also. Okay, and try to start with topics pertaining to arithmetic and algebra. As I said, in VARC, start reading editorials. As I said, your 3 months of getting used to is over. So Jan, Feb and March, start getting into the serious ones now. Editorials of the sources that I mentioned and the topics that I mentioned. Okay, brush up your reading skills to be able to read actual RC passages quicker. As I said, that's even if you don't read the actual RC passages, I'm okay with it, provided you are reading the editorials from the sources that I mentioned. In DILR, the whole idea here is now, because your charts are done, you know the calculations, how the sets are. Now you're going to be focusing on your logical reasoning questions. So you're going to look at starting with the, let's say, reasoning based DI. We discussed 6 areas. Start with the first area, start taking questions from the first area and start answering them. And these are logic based questions. So each set might be different from the other. So we are now focusing completely on the logic part from the month of January onwards. April, May, June, apart from what you have been doing, you will start including your sectional test, your topic test, and most importantly, your mocks. Full length mocks will be a part of your preparation. Now, many students might ask, sir, why should I start from April? I have barely started my preparation. I only prepared 30% syllabus. Why should I write a mock? Guys, remember, mocks are not for you to keep till October, till you finish your syllabus. Mocks serve 2 purposes. The first purpose of mock is just to test whether you know a subject correct or not. But the second purpose of a mock is also to make you sit for 2 hours, to make you feel the pressure for 2 hours, to see whether you will handle the pressure or you'll go blank. If all this you're doing in September, October, August, you will not have enough time to overcome it. It's like saying that I am preparing the complete theory, but practice I will leave it till August or July for that matter. That is not enough. Start your practice application of what you're learning under pressure, performance under pressure from the month of April itself. It doesn't matter if only 20% of the syllabus is completed, which means I will say if there are 22 questions and only 5 questions are covered for you, 5 topics, questions from the topic that you learned have come, can you attempt all 5? That's it. Don't worry about anything else. If you attempted 4 out of 5 questions that have come from your area of preparation, you are doing a good job. Which means next time when another 2 questions come from a new topic you learned, you should be able to attempt those. Slowly your curve will keep going up. But you have to keep writing these mocks. If you don't write the mock, you will be under tremendous pressure in the month of August and September. Every year students come back and say that, sir, I don't have time to write mocks. It's already September. What can I do? I can't do anything about it. You should have started 5 months ahead. You are coming to me late. Now, I can't reverse time. So this is my serious advice. Don't hold your mocks till the end. Students say that, sir, I want to write more mocks at the end. It is not going to help you. Writing mocks in particular intervals where you will have time to analyze the mock, that is very, very important. If you don't analyze your mistakes, writing 10 mocks, 5 mocks, 4 mocks every week is of no use. It's a complete waste of your time. Let's go ahead. July, September, this is where you'll be finishing your syllabus more or less in all the 3 areas. You'll be writing almost 1 mock every week. So you're going to become very, very consistent. July, August, September, writing in writing mocks. You will not miss even a single mock during this period. In the month of April to June, you'll not have so many mocks. You'll probably have 1 or 2 mocks in April. Probably in June, in May, you'll be having 2 mocks or 3 mocks. In June, you might be having 2 or 3 mocks again. But starting from July, you'll be having 1 mock every week. And in the month of October, November, this is the month of revision. Those of you who are starting from September or October, preparation for 2023, October and November is complete revision for you. And as a part of the revision, you're going to look at your previous CAT papers, the previous year CAT papers. And you can also look at ZAT because ZAT standard and CAT standard are pretty decent. So start solving those questions, start solving the DILR questions. If you've prepared your, if you have time left in July, August, September quarter also, and you finish your syllabus faster, start looking at your actual CAT questions, actual CAT DILR sets, actual CAT RCs. You will get an idea of whether your preparation is up to the standard or not. Are you able to grasp those concepts or not? You're testing yourself against what actually came. That is very, very important. And if you're in the month of October and November, I would still say continue with your CAT preparation, CAT solving of previous year papers, but by then you would have also written few mocks, a decent number of mocks, like 12, 13 mocks. So whatever was not solved by you in those mocks, those also can be done in the month of October and November. So this should be the broad preparation plan for you for the remaining or the next 12, 13 months. Okay, having said that, if you want to see or test yourself at an all India level, if you are listening to this and you're writing your CAT 2022, or you are planning for CAT 2023, but you want to see what is CAT exam all about, please make a note that we are conducting an open mock by BYJU'S Exam Prep, CAT 2022, an open mock for this upcoming CAT exam. It is free for anyone who downloads our app and registers for this exam. It is starting from today. This is the day that the mock has been released, 30th September, and the mock will be live till 9th October. So 30th September to 9th October, any one day you can complete the mock. It's for 2 hours. It will be at the standard of your actual CAT exam. So test yourself against a CAT level exam and see where you stand. All those of you preparing for CAT 2022, make sure that you write this without fail so that you know what your standing is at an all India level. You can set your expectation accordingly. Okay. So with that, my friends, I have come to the end of the session. Thanks a lot for being patient and listening to me. All the best for your preparation. Hopefully, I'll be seeing you in a lot of my classes. Thank you.